Hi, everyone. I have been going on and on for a long time. I know about this idea of looking and taking a bit more time to look at the world around us and think about it rather than glancing and letting it flash past. Uh, but of course, that's easier said than done because the question then is, how do I do that? Because how do I changed my habits, if you like. Uh, One thing, as I've said before, is you do have to practice filtering out things. So, I did a little video there recently, and it should be on this channel, where I went up. I was having a walk in the hills, and I was looking at things, and I think I put that up. Um, and as I stood there looking, uh, the very first thing I had to do was leave behind um, a lot of stuff that was in my mind on the journey there in the car because I parked and then got out to go on a walk. Uh, so that takes a little time. It's very difficult to rush out, change your environment, and then really focus. One minute you're in a car, you're maybe thinking about what have I to do later today, or I have to do this or that. Almost get petrol in the car, or oh look, there's a lorry, I better not, crash and things like that. All that's going on. Yeah, and you get to where you want to go. You park your car, you jump out, you walk down the road to a hill, and you're looking over a thing. But it just doesn't stop then. There's still the dregs of all those other things in your mind. There's a sort of transition, and you need to be aware of that. And ask yourself, you can test yourself, ask yourself how many times have you been out somewhere, gone for a walk, and you're walking along, and you've realized that you haven't been looking or thinking about the place you are. You've been in a completely different place. And I've mentioned that before. So you need to stop physically is a useful thing sometimes to physically stop. And when you're looking at your other environment that you want to observe, take a bit of time and just try to practice blocking out anything else was in your head. So slowly turn your attention. Now, that one way to do that is by asking questions about the place you're at. And that suddenly forces you to pay that bit of attention. What I mean by that is especially think about the visual elements of the things you're looking at. Because this is as an artist, you go somewhere, you're looking, standing in front of something with the objective maybe of making art from it. So as an artist, then you're looking for those things. So think about things like color, very obvious, but you know, you might look at something and say, "Oh, that's really colourful. That's nice. I've done this myself." But the question is, what are those colours? What type of colours am I looking at here? Now, the answer might be green and blue, and that's good. That's a start. That's the first step to moving into your mind, into your environment. But then you've got to say, how do they relate? Are they particular type of greens? Is there more than one green? Uh, is it earthy green and bluish green going on together? How many different greens can I see? Can I see? Let's see if I can find 5 different greens. And look, so you're challenging yourself to get engaged in that moment, that problem. It's the same with movement. Sometimes I would look at a landscape, maybe it's very windy and trees are moving. So is there movement there? Yes, there's movement. Okay, but then what sort of movement is it? Is it moving from side to side? Is it up and down? Um, is there a rhythm to the trees moving? If there is a rhythm, is it very slow or is it very fast? Or is the grass there? Let's say, is the grass moving at a different rate to the tree? Probably is, because big trees are big and strong and they'll not move very easily. Whereas little strands of grass are fluttering around or leaves in the wind. So ask yourself, what speed are things moving at? That tree, that thing there, that thing there. Ask yourself, what textures do you see? and you might be even actually physically touch the grass and things. Are they rough, smooth? Is there combination? What, how many, how many, can I find 5 different textures in this little frame that I'm looking at here? And set yourself. So set those little tick box things. And I know in school, I remember vaguely way back in school days, if you were lucky in the summer, they would take you out. The class would be allowed out, and the teacher would take you on a nature trail or something like that. And sometimes you got a little worksheet, and there was questions on it. You had to see if you can find such and such thing, and you would go looking for it. And there's 2 reasons. You're gathering information, but one of the reasons was that made you focus on that problem and nothing else at that time. And nothing's changed in our adult lives. It's the same thing. And you can work through all of the elements of art, if you like, tone, color, texture, rhythm, patterns, line, movement, all of that. And you could, and even write them down if you're intending to go out in the landscape, or even if you're intending to make a still life in your own room at home, set up the stuff and then make a list of all those things and sit and look through them. Color, right? What am I seeing there? And it seems not childish, but it seems very simplistic. But here's the question: if you don't do that, what would you do? And there's a good chance that you would look at your still life for 30 seconds and then start saying, well, as soon as and once I get this done, I must go down to the garage to get such and such, so I need some bread. Actually, when I finish this, I've got to do that. You're already not here. And I've mentioned that before in videos. But what I'm saying is there is a method of writing down. I sometimes talk to, this is an admission, but I talk to myself when I'm, especially if I'm out and about, in the middle of the street, But I would stand like I did, up in the hills there and look over, and sometimes I would actually ask, actually physically talk and say, what's going on here? What, how dark is that? Mumble. Now that's just my thing, but without asking questions, you won't be engaged because you've no pressure put on yourself. And generally speaking, as humans, when we don't have pressure put on ourselves, we will do our thing, the thing that is interesting us and easy. We usually take the easy way out. So without that discipline, so think about that as a little simple technique when you're out looking at the world around you. Okay,